You want to know a good way to cause panic, fear, chaos, and worry the hell out of people?
Yes, but no. No, but yes.
You mess with their money.
Every single time.
And that's exactly what the Fed is doing. The Fed, Jerome Powell, they have people on edge more so than they have in the past. You know what we haven't heard about recently in the news?
I feel like this is a trick question because I don't think you're supposed to talk about this in videos because YT gets mad, but I'm going to say C-19.
Oh, yeah, that's Biden already announced that that's over.
Okay.
That's done. And for those who didn't go get jabbed, it's over. So it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Comments come in, emails come in saying that the information that we bring, whether it's here on Kevin or on Squirrel Tribe, is much more valuable than mainstream media because they don't want to tell you the truth. And we don't hear about fuel shortages. We don't hear about diesel shortages. Mm-mm. We don't really even hear about food shortages anymore because they moved on.
They've moved on to the next thing to scare us with.
And they're scaring you with your money now, which I was talking about months ago, that these food shortages were going to end up in a high price situation because the prices were going up. This is when inflation was like, I don't know. It wasn't as bad as it is now. Mm-hmm. It's pretty bad. And people were like, no, you're crazy. Because they were listening to the news. And what they were spewing out there and claims about Russia and Ukraine and all this nonsense. But if you really want to scare people, you put Jerome Powell on stage, turn a camera on, and let him scare people about losing their jobs, losing their homes, losing their money. And now it's not only scaring the older generation, probably looking forward to retirement that is now a distant dream, it's scaring the younger generation. But it's actually going to scare both generations at the same time, and I'm going to explain why. But the younger generation is extremely worried about growing up.
I thought you were going to say job security because all the entry jobs are slowly being taken away by AI.
That's part of growing up.
Okay, that makes sense.
They're moving out. They're supposed to be moving out, going to school, going to college, getting a degree. Mm-hmm. Some of them, after posting the video yesterday about the encounter at Dollar Tree, a lot of comments coming through of college students wondering what should they do because they're in the middle of their post-secondary education and are questioning whether or not the degree, the field that they are pursuing is actually going to be around when they get their degree.
And then on top of that, all the money they are spending just to get the degree for something that may not be around, for something that may no longer require a degree because there aren't as many people going these days to get these degrees.
Yeah. I mean, I talked about accounting and taxes, and me personally, I would want a person to do my taxes. I don't want a computer to do my taxes. There's multiple reasons for that. If you have complex taxes, if you're a business owner, if you're self-employed, if you have investments, you don't want a computer to do your taxes. They want you to want a computer to do your taxes because they know how the code is written.
Remember when H&R Block came out with the whole, you just do it at home and then TurboTax and everything else, you just plug in the numbers and whatever else, and then at the end, you're like, okay, cool, I'm getting money back. And then every once in a while you hear of somebody who got like audited or in trouble because things were done wrong because they thought they could put this in as a write-off here, but you couldn't, but a computer couldn't tell you couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. That happened to a few people that I have heard of.
But they typically, you know who they are.
They
want you to feel good about them taking your money, so they give you a little bit of it back. Sound familiar?
Yeah.
So the worst part about it is coding is very important. Coding, I think they're actually starting coding in school. They've pretty much kind of moved away from the whole teaching children trades.
Yeah, or anything that would help them in the future, like how to balance a checkbook, what credit is, anything like that. How to, sew something if something your clothes are up, how to sew it up, how to bandage things, like just everything home ec wise is gone.
Good luck learning how to be a carpenter or a plumber or an electrician or anything or automotive technician, any trade that is relatively difficult to replace by a computer yet. They've moved away from it. Now they're going into coding. I think they actually went into gaming too.
They did. So our kid, when she was in elementary school, they had a after school thing. She would go after school and take art classes because she likes to draw. So we wanted to help her, do the things that she likes, learn to get better at the things that she likes. But they also had coding classes, which weren't free. None of the things are free, by the way, and which is crazy to me that in order to keep a kid interested in school and learning and growing, it costs you a bunch of money. They don't just help children from the good of their hearts, but they had coding and then they had different gaming things. But that was really it. Besides art, there was no other extracurricular that wasn't sport related.
Yeah, so that's going to create a problem. But if you're paying attention, part of this is playing the game. It's almost like being in the Matrix. After you've been unplugged from the Matrix, now you understand how it works, the rules that exist, and the rules that can be bent and broken. And that's what's going to be most important. Learning some of these new rules, coding, the new direction of business and making money in the economy, but also not forgetting the old rules of how to do things yourself with your hands and build and repair, because you're going to have to. Now, the scariest part about it is that the kids are misguided. Their reports, actually surveys of kids that are highly depressed and confused in college because they have either just started or halfway through, and they're very worried about the future, which ties into the older community, which is probably more than likely going to see the kids coming back home.
Yep. Which is more money, in theory, more money that could be shared amongst the household to pay bills and stuff, unless, of course, there is no extra job for the college student. And now mom, dad, grandparents have to figure out how to spend even more money they're not earning.
You're going to have to pull resources.
Yeah.
You're going to have to pull resources, even folks who are in relatively safe positions financially. If all you are is safe, then you're probably going to be looking to pull resources so you don't become unsafe. Those that are beyond safe probably don't have to worry about it too much. But if you're just safe right now, then you're going to want to do things to make sure you stay safe, because we're on a decline, and we've got at least 2 or 3 years more before there's a change, and that change could be for the better, or that change could be for the worse. But that's a little ways down the road. So what we're doing now is we're barreling down the hill, and you don't want to get to the bottom of the hill and not have the brakes.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is start applying the brakes now so you can slow down and you don't crash into the whatever's at the bottom of that hill. The other problem is the relationship side, the mental side, the emotional side, the psychological side, the social media side. Not just the kids, not just the older nearing retirement, but everybody in between. Think about it. Somebody actually commented, they commented, I lost my job yesterday. I don't know what I'm going to do. And depending on what you used to do and your skill level and your resume and where you live and the competition in your area, if you're in a situation like you're in a small town and the whatever manufacturing plant that everybody works at has mass layoffs, you know that's going to be detrimental because that was what propped up the community. And it's not like you're just going to go down the street and go to the other manufacturing plant. That's a whole nother story. That's what I'm talking about is if you're safe, make sure you're doing things to be better than just safe. But for other folks, maybe living in bigger cities and possibly more opportunities, there's still the possibility that if you were to lose your job or have a huge financial inconvenience or impact because of the Fed, because of rising interest rates, because they are deciding whether we're going to have hyperinflation or a deep recession. That's pretty much the two options.
The lose-lose.
That's the two options. So think about it. If things get bad, I don't want to say when things get bad, but odds are we're having a serious conversation here. Let's just say they do. Are you going to have too much pride to go back home? And then are you going to have a struggle internally, mentally with friends and family and coworkers and colleagues, maybe the ones who didn't lose their job? They didn't get laid off in the first wave. What are you going to do? Because you now are looking at it like, look, my options are be homeless or go back home. You know, I'm 35, I'm 40 years old, I got to go back home.
I actually had people comment on previous videos of mine that they didn't want to go back home, so they chose to live in their car. They chose to be homeless. And to me, that will never make sense, but it's because we have good families. And that's what somebody else said. Well, maybe these people don't have good families. So going back home could be more detrimental than being homeless, depending on, the mentality of what your home life is or what your parents or whoever is like.
That makes sense because that in those situations, there may not be a home to go back to, which is just a whole nother problem. I posted a video this morning. You probably didn't see it. And you probably didn't see it because YouTube didn't show it to you because it was about making money.
YouTube only likes to show things that are, the world is ending, everything's crashing, everybody's going to die. Like, they only like the scare the bejesus out of you stuff. If you put up something as a feel good, whatever, you get nothing.
Well, that's twofold because one, YouTube may not have shown it to you, but two, if YouTube did show it to you and you chose not to click on it, then you may be part of the problem.
That is true. That's true because so many people, for some reason, want to be scared. I think it gives them something to bitch about.
There was no clickbait. None of that. It was a positive thumbnail. I was smiling on it. We actually had a conversation last night as we were looking at Graham Stephan's channel and noticing his facial expressions on his video thumbnails and when he was confused or fearful or happy, elated. And it seemed like when he would make a video about a financial win, he would smile. Mm-hmm. So I did that. And I put together this video, and nobody's watched it. And it's okay. But it's twofold. Either YouTube didn't show it to you, or you chose not to watch it. And if you don't have any interest in it, I get it. That's fine. But if you're sitting here saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just lost my job. I don't have a plan. And you skip that video, then you don't want a solution.
You just want to be a victim. I think that's the problem with a lot of things in our country. Everybody's got wants to have that victim mentality so that nobody has to take responsibility for, you didn't work hard enough to get promoted, or you were late 74 times in a row, so that's why you lost your job. But it was, the traffic, the lights, whatever.
And it wasn't just about money. It was about small businesses that are killing it.
Mm-hmm. I watched it. I listened to it on the way home.
Ideas that people can put in place right now to get their small business off the ground and do the same thing so that when the ball drops, when the music stops, inflation affects everybody, but it won't, inflation won't wipe you out. It won't shut you down. Losing your W-2 job won't be as devastating because you have multiple streams of income. And I knew nobody was going to watch it, but if you did and you want to know more, you know how to reach me.
It was a really good video.
But the thing is we know that I feel as though with extreme confidence that there is a group of people out there that have an agenda and are all for the Great Reset in ways that most people have no idea how bad it really is going to be.
Crap.
And, Jerome Powell, he's hinting at it. The Fed is hinting at it. But, then it's like, well, questions come through. It's like, well, if they get what they want and they wipe us all out and nobody has any money and this universal basic income and, who's going to do the work and who's going to buy this and who's going to... It's going to be a struggle. It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
It's going to be like you're going to wake up, you're going to go outside, and it's going to look like everything's in black and white because it's like just bad.
Do you remember the movie I, Robot? Mm-hmm. That's what I picture, where the robots are taking over absolutely everything.
I picture Hunger Games.
Hunger Games with robots. That's even worse.
I picture Hunger Games.
Two things you don't want to meld together.
And at the end of the day, there's going to be a lot of people that probably get wiped out. A lot of families get wiped out. A lot of businesses get wiped out and shut down. A lot of layoffs. A lot of wealth being transferred. Even if you don't have a lot of money, they're going to take it. They want it. It's going to add up to them, and it's just going to increase their wealth. The scales will be tipped. And then it's going to get really crazy, really scary, really competitive. And the jobs that need to be done will be done for less pay.
Mm-hmm. The undercutting everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you'll do it for $5, I'll do it for $4.50. Oh, he'll do it for $4.50, I'll do it for $4.25. Like, It's going to continuously go down. But now, what I want to jump in here with is, from my standpoint and the kind of things I talk about, you guys need to talk to each other. Like, spouses need to be communicating about what your money is actually like. I've talked before, we don't have a joint account. We have separate ones just to be on a safer scale. But I know what I have and he has. He knows what I have and what he has. And that way, we're always in sync with each other. If something could go wrong, we know exactly what we have to fall back on. We know exactly what total bills are. We know all kinds of stuff. And I think there's a lot of people out there who may not have those conversations that will be very, very important as we continue to just kind of plummet in the economy.
Yeah, you don't want to find yourself in a situation where you're dire straits and there's a financial emergency and the other half of the relationship says, oh, I thought you had it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no, I thought you had it. And then you're like, oh, shit, nobody's got it. But, the relationship's important because that's going to help you probably have a clearer head seeing through the problems and the challenges as they come about versus having a problem, having a challenge, a financial struggle, a job loss, record inflation, high prices, and having to go home and then have a fight and an argument, about like dumb shit.
Yeah, about money and stuff.
So this is just like a heads up, a little bit of a impromptu warning.
Look, I went to Sam's Club today and a box of chips, 30 bags of chips that used to be $10 or $11, $18.98. Same chips, twice as much now. So things are going to continue to go up in price. People are going to continue to make less money, less hours, whatever. And it's just...
Well, you also have the fact that the stores are charging more for everything, but the stores are actually giving you less for charging more for everything. And it's been confirmed. It's called shrinkflation.
Yes, I have seen that firsthand.
So you can get upset that it costs more, but you also need to get upset that you're paying more to get less.
Yes.
And this is,
riots in the streets. It's going to happen one day.
And this is part of why, like, they're not even talking about food shortages anymore because they're manipulating the quantities. Mm-hmm. They're manipulating the quantities down and jacking the prices up. They know that they're not going to run out.
Yeah.
But they know that they can scare you by telling you certain things at certain times. But then they also know, and this is like a weird little battle and a weird little struggle because not everybody's in on the game. So you'll have some major retailers that you're going to see this holiday season completely get jacked. And it's because they're not completely in on the game, but they're going to see people push back for the simple fact that they can't. They don't have it. They don't have the money. They don't make enough money. They're spending it somewhere else. All their bills are going through the roof. They lost a job or whatever. Southwest Florida, anybody got hit by Hurricane Ian, they were not expecting that. Now, granted, we've had people say that there may have been some weather manipulation there, but the retailers and the businesses were not expecting that. And I think it's like a $50 billion total right now for the damages from Hurricane Ian. And they were not expecting that. And so you're going to see some major pullback in those markets, probably some layoffs ahead of schedule. And this is why people need to be getting prepared mentally and financially, because it's going to be a struggle. But there are opportunities, there are possibilities, there are solutions out there. You got to be smart. You got to be hungry. You got to be willing to work. You got to be willing to put the effort in.
Look for good side hustles. I mentioned one in my video today. It's a good one.
So yeah, so check out Squirrel Tribe. And I think she's got another video going up later with some more information and heads up warnings for various ways to be prepared, because a lot of people are now saying, you're right. I do have a pantry full of food. I have dehydrated and canned until I can't anymore. And I feel good about that. I do not feel good about my financial situation.
Because now I'm broke because it's all in my pantry.
I do not feel good about my credit situation. I do not feel good about my housing situation. I do not feel good about my career and my employment situation. And granted, for several months, years, there have been people sharing this information, but they kind of fall on deaf ears. I allegedly, the economic ninja, economic prepper, Jeremiah Bay, epic economist, uneducated economist. I'm trying to think of all the other ones that are out there that are sharing
like a weird
this.
name to have.
He was on point early, and I think he works at a lumber mill, and he's in tune, and he has like this gauge on the pulse of the overall economy just from the changes that he sees in his industry, which makes sense.
True.
But if you're paying attention to that, you're probably not paying attention to all the weapons you need to buy and body armor and
all you need to do is learn how to run. You don't need body armor. Just turn and run if you get into a situation.
Off-grid paraphernalia and life straws and
No, the life straw, I like that one though.
there's nothing wrong with it, but you probably were looking at one or the other.
Yeah, you weren't thinking about both. A lot of people looked at I have to have all these things and spent their money on it, as opposed to I need to have more than just physical things in my hands in my pantry. I need to have a way to sustain,
And here's the thing: this is actually normal. I see this. I'm sure there's a term for it. I'm not a psychologist, but I do like listening to people and paying attention and trying to understand about life and what's going on to share it with you guys. But most people, a lot of people, typically want a solution that they have to pay for.
So weird. I guess they feel like it's more of a real solution if it costs money.
Now, granted, I've told you before, never give away anything of value for free, because the people won't appreciate it for the value that it is if they don't have to pay for it.
Okay. But also don't get swindled. So there's like that weird line.
Yes. And so if anybody's asking like, well, Kevin, why do you put out these videos? Well, we get paid to make these videos. Not to make them, but obviously there's revenues and affiliates and things like that involved with making videos. There's no mystery there. Everybody knows that. Which is why I share this information with you so that you too can learn how to do it. Watch the video I put up this morning. But anyway, a lot of people want to pay for a solution when there's so many out there that don't cost any money. Now, I'm not going to name any names, but somebody asked me, actually a few somebodies asked me, because they're building their channels. They're trying to build their channels. And really good friend of mine, you know who he is. And do I need to buy this computer? Do I need to buy this camera?
No.
Do I need to buy all this stuff? I'm like, no, you don't need to.
Nope.
You need to do what the basics on your own they cost you nothing except a little bit of your time. And this will bring you the greatest return on your channel, which he's actually seeing some really good growth. He's so excited because he's going to cross over 100 subscribers today. But he also thought when the first video went up, no one would ever watch it. And we proved that wrong.
There's always somebody for
in
everything.
a few minutes.
Yeah.
But when we talk about that, I'm going to make an analogy here and tie it into finances. And this is going to be similar to the people out there saying, all right, what do I need to buy? Well, you don't need to buy this food dehydrator. You don't need to buy this body armor. You don't need to buy this helmet. You don't need to buy these radiation pills. You don't need to buy all this stuff, okay? Because that's not necessarily realistically going to be the biggest problem that you face. What you should do is learn how to spend less, budget better, save money, invest it, make your money make you money, so that here we are today. And what a lot of the intelligent folks out there were trying to tell you about months and years ago is coming to fruition. And now you're like, oh, crap.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I mean it's
that's
like,
what it is like.
it's now granted, it's like I'll make a video and I'll share some information, more than likely financially biased, and they'll say, just grow food, just grow seeds, buy seeds, grow food. I'm talking about interest rates. I'm talking about trying to understand how much affordable housing is going to cost, and I get a comment that says grow food, buy seeds.
My favorite thing is that in order to buy the seeds, you have to have the money. In order to have the money, you have to pay attention to your finances.
But much like the seeds and growing food, it does you no good if you didn't start early. So much like your finances and your budget, it's really not going to do you that much good if you continuously wait and procrastinate until the hammer drops and you're completely broke, you're flat broke, you lose your job, inflation's through the roof, prices are up, Jerome Powell and the Fed got their wish, the middle class is going to get wiped out, 1.2 million Americans lose their jobs, and now you're thinking, I wish I had some savings. I wish I had credit. I wish I didn't spend all my money on all this stuff and all these things that I thought were going to be the solution, instead of actually just being smarter and wiser with my money, gaining financial education so that I could be prepared for this day. How come nobody warned me?
In one ear, out the other.
Check out this video right here and this one here too. See you guys on the next one.